How are you today? This is Mary Bicknell, and today we're going to talk about fear of failure. And this is why you have that fear of failure. So hold on to your hats, because I think you're going to have a lot of ahas today. Sorry about that. There you go. Must have touched that screen. We're going to talk about how you can identify when you have this fear. So we've been talking about 5 blind spots, and I have the links in the comments or the description for you. What are 5 blind spots and fears holding you back from having every single thing that you want in your life? And so today's topic is fear of failure. We're going to talk about what that looks like. What are some of the behaviors that happen when you are demonstrating you're afraid to fail? We're going to talk about one of the key things that holds you and stops you from going for it. So I've got my notes right here. And the truth of it is that sometimes we just need to get our mental shit together. Like, we just need to get our mental shit together. There's probably things in your life that you have like so tight, right? And people just think, oh my God, look at her. She's fantastic. She's got this together. And then there's other things and you think, holy crap, why is this happening? Why is it that, I can't figure this out, right? And that really is because you've got some of that, some of those blind spots. So does that make sense? Can I get some love? Can I get some amens? Can I get some hell yeses? So whether you're watching this, wherever you're watching this, wherever you are, hi, I'm Mary Bicknell. I am a business consultant for therapists who want to coach, and I'm also the regret-proof life coach. So I help women just like you either figure out how to make a lot of money in a business or, work through that crap, that mental crap that is in the way of having every single thing that you want in your life. And that's the truth. Like, this is the bottom line. This is the easy peasy part. It's so much of your thinking. So often you are on autopilot. You have zero idea what you're actually thinking about. You can see right over here, there's a little workbook. If you want to look at like how to have a breakthrough around your fears, how to start allowing yourself to stop and see what's happening. Stop and listen to what's going on in your head. Stop and actually evaluate, like, why the fuck do I keep doing this? Okay? The number one reason you have fear of failure is because of all of those times that you've let yourself down before, and then you didn't follow through with your agenda, your goal, your desire, the thing that you said that you were going to do, and then you just brutally beat yourself up. You shamed yourself. You humiliated yourself. You said horrible things to yourself that you would never say to another human being. So it makes sense, doesn't it? So the way our brain works, its only job is really to help us and protect us. Even if that stuff looks screwed up, even if that behavior looks messed up, even if it seems logically like I'm like binge eating, I'm binge spending, I'm screaming at my kid, why is that? I'm procrastinating, and I'm going to share with you several ways that you can identify by your behavior that you're just like in some unconscious, mindless kind of place. That resistance that comes up. And what happens is, let's say, for example, you set a goal. Whatever it is. You want to lose 5 pounds. You want to have your house clean this weekend. You want to make $1 million. You want to make 5 sales phone calls. You want to post on Facebook. You want to build your social media. You want to, whatever it is. And then you don't do it. See, that's when we chip away at our self-trust. Our self-trust. Right. So part of this, and one of the other blind spots is, the number one blind spot is actually fear of judgment. Judgment of ourselves and judgment of others. And so a lot of this is rooted back to that. A lot of this is rooted back to our like if you say you're going to do something and then, sorry about that, and then you don't follow through, then what? If you don't follow through, people are like, well, there she goes again with all her brainstorming, all her ideas. So we can also think about what other people are judging us. But then it's the internal stuff. The internal stuff where you are just literally beating yourself up, where you literally are just causing yourself so much anguish and pain and suffering. Right? That's the truth. That's the truth. Let's talk a little about what some of the 4 triggers are. We've talked about this before, so let's review. Let me make sure that this is really going live here. Good. Let's talk a little bit. So the 4 triggers are mental, situational, emotional, and mental. So sometimes we put a big goal out there, and so let's use situational. We put a big goal out there, and we have to do the work, the behavior to create that situation, to create that thing coming true. And then we don't do it, and we wonder why. Why am I not doing this? Why am I not? So let me give you a couple. I'm going to share a couple signs for you to understand what's in the way. Like, when do you know that you are doing the behavior based on fear of failure, or actually any of these blind spots? Any of these blind spots. So what happens is you have a thought, oh my God, what if I fail? And then you have a feeling of like anxiety, stress, sadness. And then you have the behavior of like not following through, or some of these other behaviors. Let me give you a couple examples. You're like, I talk about this, right? You're crazy busy. So fear of failure. And so what you do is you put all these things in your way. You say yes. We just talked about this the other day. So look for in the feed, or look wherever you're watching this, right? There's going to be a video that says why you need to learn to say no. We oftentimes make ourselves so busy so that we can use that as an excuse for why we didn't succeed. When in reality, we have this fear of failure. We're afraid we're going to fail. We're afraid we're going to, again, let ourselves down. And then we're going to ass kick ourselves. We're just going to brutally shame ourselves. So does it even make sense if you've gotten into this, a cycle, right? A cycle of you set a goal, you don't do it. Maybe your fear of judgment, or it's too much of a goal, or you're just like, you're never going to do this anyhow. Maybe you're not even aware that that's what you're thinking. You're never going to get it done anyhow. So then you have this sabotaging type behavior. Then you ass kick yourself. Like, who would even want to set a goal, right? So let's give you some other, you're scared into inaction. Like, oh my God, what am I? So you stop yourself. You procrastinate. Oh, I'll do that later, right? I'll do that later. All of these 5 blind spots and fears, all of these signs about your behavior are right here. Oh my God, what about this one? Oh my, I forgot to do that. I forgot. I've had clients say to me, I'm like, hey, here's, you've written down your assignment, you've written down what you need to do, you've written down like what you should be journaling, or if it's sales, or et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I forgot. Like, really? Did you forget? Did you forget when you're writing it right down? Or is this one of your signs of where you're holding yourself back? Is this one of those signs where you are, undermining yourself? Actually, your brain is trying to protect you. It's like, forget to do that thing, because if you go for it and you don't succeed, boom, you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass. You're disorganized. This is so one of those things. Well, if you want success, and we'll talk another time about fear of success, but a lot of times if you're disorganized, this is actually your brain's screwed up way of protecting you so that you don't fail, and then you don't screw yourself over and beat yourself up and tell yourself what a lazy ass you are. I always tell my clients, care enough to prepare. And that goes for yourself, like your self-care, but it also, like, be prepared when you're going to do a talk, when you're going to do something like this. Be prepared. Like, think ahead a little bit. So if you're going to do a big speaking gig in front of a bunch of people, like, you better be prepared on, like, how are you going to obtain their information, the audience's information, so that you have the opportunity to connect with them again. So sometimes what happens is people will fail to be prepared that way. They will sabotage themselves because they're afraid, their fear of failure is in the way of like, well, I'm not going to be able to close those sales anyhow. So it's like you've gone to the speaking gig, you've stood up, you've spent time away from your family, you've done your talk that I probably helped you create, which should have closed people. And then you didn't follow through on the, obtaining people's names and then connecting with them because you're one of your fears. And today we're talking about fear of failure, and there's other fears. That's also something that happens with fear of success. But fear of failure a lot shows up with not being prepared. Not being prepared. Another thing is like if you're losing weight, are you prepared? Are you writing down what you're supposed to eat or what you want to eat, right? What else? Where else could you be prepared? Where else? And leave it in the comments. Where else do you think you are less than prepared sometimes? Or, like I said, you're forgetful, or you're disorganized, or you feel paralyzed, or you feel impatient. This is a big one for fear of failure. Is you feel impatient. See, you've set this arbitrary date. Right? You said, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in the next 3 weeks. I'm going to make $1 million in the next 2 years. Or $10,000 every month, or whatever it is. You've set this goal, which I believe, of course, you should have targets to shoot for. And then what happens is you become impatient because maybe you haven't learned the skills to actually make that goal happen. And that's going to be one of the other blind spots that we're going to talk about. Oh, it's a juicy one. So make sure that you're looking for the links and the where to find these other teachings about these blind spots. So I'm curious, is this relatable to you? Does this make sense that sometimes your fear of failure and you don't even move forward and you say, oh, I'm afraid to fail. I'm afraid to fail. Maybe, just maybe, what it actually is that you are not moving forward because it's actually your thinking that's in the way. That it's actually the thoughts that you're saying to yourself, that ass-kicking machine that you're saying to yourself. So it's kind of logical, isn't it? If we can step back and remove the emotion of it and like, oh, I can't believe I'm failing, or if we can just get into logic about it, that it kind of makes sense that you're sabotaging yourself if your way of handling things, if you don't succeed at whatever, is you beat yourself up. This is why you need to get your mental shit together, right? This is why you need to get that thinking straight. So today, your challenge, your action is to, look at some of the signs. What are your signs? What are your behavioral signs when it comes to these blind spots and fears? And could it be true that your fear of failure in part is because of that just ass-kicking machine that kicks in, that negative, that beating yourself up, like not having your own back. And so could it be logical that you are putting roadblocks in the way? Because if your goal if you don't succeed, you just beat yourself up, and that you're on this autopilot. So today, part of this whole training on this teaching on these 5 blind spots, and today we've actually been talking about a third blind spot. Could it be that, part of this is learning to build your trust again? We've talked about this. I've talked about this in every video. Part of this is rebuilding your trust. So today I want you to think about, what are the situation that you're in? What are the thoughts that you have about that? Right? Is it fear of failure? I don't want to fail. Or I don't want people judging me. And then what's the feeling behind that? And then what are your behaviors and what are your results? What are your outcomes? When you start allowing yourself to do this as a daily practice, I call it the big breakthrough formula. When you allow that, you have these moments of aha, like, wow, why did I do that? What happened that caused me to be unprepared? Here's some of them again, right? Be unprepared, be impatient, be too busy, procrastinate, lose interest, be forgetful, be disorganized. Oh, lose interest. I'll say that and then we'll end for the day. And then here's this workbook over here. Sign up for this workbook. This is going to help you also. It's different than the big breakthrough formula. It's allowing you to kind of assess your judgment about things, your real fears about things, your real attitude. One of the things I wanted to ask you is, do you say, well, I don't really want to do that anymore, because in reality, that is part of your fear of failure, or one of the blind spots that you're falling into, is that behavior demonstrating to you that you really have a blind spot. You really are just working on this autopilot negative thinking. Let me give you another last example on this. And I could just go on and on, right? Okay, so oftentimes, I have clients that they have multiple goals, and that's fantastic, right? These brilliant women, I mean, they have all these goals in their personal and professional lives. Perfect. And sometimes they just want to do too many things. Too many things. So they put all of these roadblocks in a way in front of them. They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do this, they want to speak, they want to write a book, they want to do this niche, they want to do that niche, they want to lose 20 pounds, they want to get a divorce, they want to date, they have all of these big goals, instead of focusing on a single goal for a time. Then you can focus on the other ones. What happens is, that's all bullshit. All of these multiple goals are bullshit. All these multiple niches are actually bullshit. This is their way of putting up a lot of boundary, or a lot of barriers in the way of actually going for it, because they might fear failing. They might fear, if I go all in on this one thing and it doesn't work, what kind of ass-kicking machine? Thoughts that create horrible feelings that then create these sabotaging behaviors. Can you see how it works together? So today I want you to think about, again, what's the circumstance? What are you thinking? What are your feelings about it? What's the reaction? What's your behavior? Are you using some of these like resistant sabotaging blocks? Do you have multiple goals? Because if you're all in on one and it doesn't work out, you're going to kick yourself in the ass. Makes sense, right? Who wants to shame ourselves? So I'd love for you to leave some comments. Boop, boop, boop. Leave some comments. Sign up here for the, and also I'm going to leave my calendar link. If you want to get on the phone and you want to chat a little bit about this, if you're at a place where you're feeling like, yes, I have these roadblocks. Yes, I have these fears. Yes, I have all these goals and I'm not meeting any of them. And oh my God, you're speaking right to me, Mary. Click on, there's a calendar link that talks about a breakthrough, and we'll just get on the phone for a few minutes. And within a few minutes, I will help you identify your blind spot. You're going to have a blind spot breakthrough. Until next time, this is Mary Bicknell, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.